Long before Christmas lights and carols warmed the winter nights, Rome celebrated something older, stranger, and far more dangerous, a festival called Saturnalia, a holiday that began with laughter but always carried the echo of a forgotten god who demanded chaos as tribute. Saturnalia was not just a party. It was a ritualized collapse of the entire Roman world. For 7 days, laws dissolved. Masters served slaves. Gambling filled the streets. Men dressed as women, women mocked men, nobles wore rags, and fools wore crowns. And deep under the laughter, something ancient and unsettling stirred. The Romans said it honored Saturn, the old god of agriculture, but Saturn was never gentle. Before he became the smiling father of abundance, Saturn was known as Cronus, the devourer of his own children. A titan who ruled the world in a golden age, where life was equal only because life was fragile. Saturnalia kept that memory alive. It began with the festival's most shocking rule, the complete reversal of power. Slaves sat at the table like kings. Masters poured their wine. A slave could shout insults at his owner without fear. Some whispered he could even demand favors that were forbidden the rest of the year. And the master had to obey, because Saturn was a god of inversion, a god who laughed at order. And for 1 week Rome let his spirit loose. On the first day the temples unlocked their chains, literally. A statue of Saturn, usually bound in woolen ropes all year long, was untied. Priests said it symbolized freedom, but others claimed the chains kept Saturn's darker nature contained. And once they came off, chaos was allowed to roam the city. Then the feasting began. Banquets spilled into the streets. Wine flowed like water. Strangers embraced. Forbidden partners slipped away into dark corners, while the crowd pretended not to notice. The Romans wrote about it openly. During Saturnalia, every passion was permitted. The festival became a carnival of desire. Couples switched partners. Married nobles walked the streets arm in arm with actors and dancers. Prostitutes stood beside senators as equals. Even slaves, usually forbidden from choosing their lovers, found themselves free to chase anyone they pleased, and nobody dared punish them, because Saturn demanded freedom. Even if it terrified Rome, cross-dressing was everywhere. Men in silk veils, women wearing soldiers' armor, boys dressed as kings, and entertainers performing dances so obscene that early Christian writers refused to describe them. At night, people sang Fescennine verses, dirty, mocking songs filled with crude jokes, forbidden subjects and name-calling that would have earned a beating any other day of the year. But the most unsettling part of Saturnalia was the Lord of Misrule, the Saturnalicious Princeps, a mock king chosen from the lowest class, sometimes a jester, sometimes a slave, sometimes a man chosen specifically because he lived on the edges of Roman respectability. For 1 week this false king commanded Rome. He ordered nobles to dance, drink, or make fools of themselves. He could demand someone sing, kiss a stranger, or strip down to their tunic in the cold. The entire empire, senators, generals, merchants, obeyed a man they normally wouldn't even look at. Because Saturn's world was upside down. Some ancient sources whisper that the mock king once had a darker purpose, that in the oldest days, when Saturn still carried the shadow of sacrifice, the king was not just mocked, but offered back to the god when the festival ended. The Romans denied it. They laughed it off. But the rumor clung to Saturnalia like smoke, because Saturn's oldest worshippers, in Carthage, in Sicily, in the far edges of the empire, practiced rites involving fire, effigies, and sacrifices whispered about in horror. And Rome could never fully separate Saturnalia from that memory. As the festival wore on, the city grew louder. Drunken parades filled the streets. People wore masks of animals, gods, and spirits. Some decorated their homes with greenery and candles, not for beauty, but to invite light into a world ruled by darkness. Because Saturnalia took place during the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, and the Romans believed the veil between order and chaos thinned during that darkness. So they celebrated. They feasted. They gave gifts of wax figures and small dolls. Some said they symbolized fertility. Others claimed they were replacements for earlier sacrifices. But the truth is simple. Saturnalia was a controlled collapse. A ritualized descent into the golden age before gods, laws, and emperors. a reminder that civilization balanced on a knife's edge. And once a year, Rome allowed itself to fall into the abyss so it wouldn't be swallowed by it. Because beneath the jokes, the laughs, the wild feasts, and strange desires, there was always the same ancient warning: the world once belonged to Saturn, and someday it might again. When the festival ended, the chains were wrapped back around Saturn's statue. Slaves returned to servitude. The mock king lost his crown. Order returned. But for 1 week, Rome remembered the truth. Civilization is a costume, and every winter the old god pulls it off. And just like that, the lamps go dim, the wine jugs run dry, and the laughter of Saturnalia fades back into the shadows of history. But the echoes of its chaos, its rebellion, its strange and secret freedoms still linger beneath the world we think we understand. If this journey into the darker side of ancient ritual pulled you in, then do us a favor. Hit like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what you think about the wild world of Saturnalia and what forgotten mysteries you want to explore next. Until then, keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. The past is never truly dead, and it only sleeps